Hey guys, how's it going? Nick here, and we got a huge information dump last week regarding Fallout 76. A bunch of YouTubers got to go to the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia, a location that's actually going to be in the game, and they were able to get their hands on Fallout 76 for about 3 hours. They were able to grab all of the information from all their experience, and that means we're able to grab a lot of information to add to the Wasteland Survival Guide. Today I'm going to cover all the perks that we've seen so far leading up to the beta for the game. Now, there's going to be a lot of perks here, so I am going to be covering the ones I was able to get clear pictures of and ones that we've confirmed so far. Now, the first one that we have here is Action Boy. It is an agility perk. It costs 1, and the level 1 is action points regenerate 50% faster. Now, I think this perk is going to be useful for a variety of situations. The map is going to be 4 times as big as Fallout 4, and although you can fast travel to teammates and Vault 76 for free, you're going to be doing a lot of walking around in this world. And personally, one of my least favorite things is when I'm sprinting towards a destination, I run out of action points and I have to wait for it to fill up before I can start running again. And the absolute worst thing is when I'm sprinting towards a destination, I run into a mob of enemies and I can't, VATS my way out and I end up getting mauled to death. Alright, now the second perk we have here is Gladiator, and this one is going to be a strength perk. It costs 1, and the level 1 is one-handed weapons do plus 10% damage. Adding another one to it gives you 20% damage, and then the final one is going to give you 30% damage. Now, I think melee is going to be very important for this game. This game looks more like a survival experience than past Fallout games, and since this game has more creatures than enemies that actually shoot at you, they're going to be up in your face attacking you a lot more. So having a weapon offhand that could do a lot of damage early on is going to be a lot useful, especially since you don't have a lot of ammo to start off with. This is going to really help you out. The next perk in this list is going to be Born Survivor. This one's going to be an agility perk. It costs 1, and the level 1 ability is falling below 20% health will automatically use a stim pack. Since you won't be able to pause the game at any point in this online world, and VATS and certain drugs no longer slow down time, this world is going to be a lot more dangerous. You won't be able to pull up your Pip-Boy and just pop a stim pack safely anymore. This perk lets you stay in the fight instead of seeking shelter to heal up. This next perk is going to be focused more on cooperative play. It's going to be Bodyguards. This one is a Charisma perk. It costs 1, and the level 1 is gain 6 damage and energy resistance for a maximum of 18 for each teammate, excluding you. So basically, the more teammates you have, the more defense that you get to have. And if you're going to be playing with other people, this is going to be a no-brainer. You're going to be able to handle mobs much more easily without having to worry about your health as much. You can also keep this perk to swap in when you join public events, so you could just add the people in the area, so you could just maximize your defense and ready for the event. Alright, the next one I think is one of my favorite perks so far. It's going to be Concentrated Fire. This is a perception perk. It's level 1, and VATS now targets limbs. Focus fire to gain accuracy and extra damage per shot. So, this perk I feel is going to be very useful early on. I was watching some of the other YouTubers play, and it seems like getting ammo is going to be pretty rare. And you're going to want to make every one of those shots count in that regard. So, you're going to want to use VATS early on, so that way you can kind of stockpile on your ammo so you can handle those stronger enemies without any problems. Now, VATS early on, it looks kind of lame, but I think with his ability to gain accuracy at farther ranges, it could be a lot more useful. I think we're more used to VATS in previous Fallout games, where even if you had low perception, you could still kind of pull something off. But this is going to be a whole different experience, and I think it looks pretty interesting. According to many a true nerd, adding different attachments is going to help you out with VATS, so I think combining this perk with your best gun with the best attachments is going to work out really well in this game. Butcher's Bounty is going to be the next perk. It's another perception perk. It costs 1, and its level 1 is 40% chance to find extra meat when you search an animal's corpse. So there's going to be a lot of animals early on in the game, so if you don't want to have to worry about your health meter later on, this is a very good perk to grab. So you can just kill a whole bunch of animals, grab all their meat, cook all this food, and then you're just ready to go. First Aid is going to be the next perk. It is returning in the series. Its level 1 is going to be Stimpaks Restore plus 10% more health. Its level 2 is Stimpaks Restore plus 20%, level 3 30%, and finally level 4 40%. This one is going to be an intelligence perk. It also costs 1, and I think this perk will be useful if you like to run in, if you're going to be a melee build. You're going to be taking a lot of damage early on, so you want to make those stim packs last a lot longer so you can stay in fights without having to run back and worry about your health. Green Thumb is a perception perk. It is 1 cost and only 1 level. It's reap twice as much when harvesting flora. So just like Butcher's Bounty, if you don't want to have to worry about food early on, you can just start harvesting all the plants that you can find, and without it being a 40% chance, this is actually a guaranteed you're getting double of what you're picking up. So this perk is actually really useful if you can get your hands on it early on. Alright guys, the next perk in the series is going to be Dromedary. It's an endurance perk. It costs 1. Level 1 is all drinks quench thirst by an additional 25%. Like I was saying about survival games, you're going to have to worry about your hunger, your health, and your thirst meter. This perk is just going to help you not worry about your meters so you could focus on exploring or doing whatever you want to do in the Wasteland. Gunrunner is an agility perk. It costs 1, and the level 1 is your running speed is increased by 10% when you have a pistol equipped. This one only has 2 levels, so I'm going to assume that the next one's going to be 20%, but I think this perk is going to be useful in an unconventional way. I think since a lot of enemies are going to be running up to you and hitting you, this perk is going to be useful for backpedaling and shooting. If you're fast enough to escape from your enemies that are chasing after you and you're able to shoot them while you're doing that, that's going to be really helpful. Again, I don't have my hands on this game. I haven't had experience, so I don't know if using this perk is going to be useful in that aspect. I don't see anywhere else where this is going to be a useful perk. And Hacker is going to be returning again. It's a level 1 intelligence perk, and it's going to be gain +1 hacking skill, and terminal lockout time is reduced. Level 2 is gain +2. Level 3 is gain +3. And I'm very curious about how hacking is going to work in this game, because we know so far that this is going to be an online game, and I don't know how long the lockout time is. I don't know how useful hacking into things are in this game. It didn't seem like hacking in Fallout 3 was a viable option. It seemed like you could either lockpick or you can hack and still get through pretty much anything. There was a few things here and there that you needed one or the other for, but I honestly don't like the hacking minigame in the Fallout series. I think I get it. It seems interesting. I bet it's fun for a lot of people, but I think it's a huge time waster. It's very simple, but I think it wastes too much time. I want to get in, get what I need to get, and then just continue exploring. But anyways, the next perk in the series is going to be Hard Bargain. This one is a charisma perk. Its level 1 is buying and selling prices at vendors are better. Now, I was looking over the footage. There isn't a lot about trading, but it looks like selling items isn't that viable early on. People are selling them for very little. So maybe this perk is going to be helpful for you, but I suggest, or I think that they kind of program this to maybe focus more on the crafting elements in the game early on, so you don't try and sell everything you get your hands on. Happy Camper is going to be the next one. This one's a charisma perk, costs 1, and hunger and thirst grow 40% more slowly when in a camp or in a team workshop. So I guess if you're going to be focusing more on building, or even this is a good perk to have if you want to swap in, if you're just going to spend a day building with your teammates, or if you're just going to be crafting a lot, so that way you don't have to worry about your hunger and your thirst meter lowering while you're doing all of this stuff. Inspiration's the next perk. It's another charisma perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is when you're on a team, you get +5% more XP. So again, this is another useful perk to have if you're going to be playing with a lot of people. You're just going to maximize your stat output and your time management, I guess. You're going to be leveling up faster. So I don't know how much experience you get doing normal things, so I guess we don't know until the game comes out whether or not this perk is actually really useful to have or not. Alright, the next perk is going to be Iron Stomach. This one's an endurance perk, level 1, and your chance to catch a disease from food is reduced by 30%. So, this one I think is going to be interesting because mutations are a thing in the game, and that kind of gives you maybe a good thing, but also maybe a bad thing. Whereas diseases in the game are normally just a bad thing. You don't want it. So getting this perk is going to be useful if you want to minimize your chances of catching a disease. I don't know the process of getting rid of your disease. I don't know what chem actually does that, if it's rare or not, but I guess we really don't know until the game comes out. All right, Iron Fist is going to be the next one. It's a strength perk, cost 1. Its level 1 states that its punching attacks do plus 20% damage with a 5% chance to stagger your opponent. So this one has 5 different levels, and we don't know what the farther levels do, but it looks like they're going to be focusing more on unarmed in this game. It looked like it was kind of ignored a little bit in Fallout 4, and in previous Fallout games, it wasn't really expanded on too much. Now, this kind of gives me hope that they're going to be adding a lot of unarmed kind of mechanics in the game. What worries me is during all the event footage, we haven't seen barely any unarmed weapons. So I don't know. We'll see when the game comes out, but I'm really hoping that they really expand upon the unarmed weapon tree. The next perk is going to be Licensed Plumber. It's an intelligence perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is your pipe weapons break 30% more slowly and are cheaper to repair. So again, we don't have this game in our hands, and we don't know if the event footage was changed any way for the players that were playing it, and it's going to be a different experience for us playing. But if the fact is we're going to be using pipe weapons for a majority of the early game, this perk is going to be very, very useful early on, because you don't want your weapon to be breaking mid-fight. It's going to break a lot more slowly, and even when you do need to repair it, it's going to cost little to nothing to actually repair your weapon. The next perk is going to be a Charisma perk. It's Lone Wanderer. It costs 2, and its level 1 is when adventuring alone, take 10% less damage and gain 10% AP regen. Now, this perk, I think, is a lot of people are going to use. A lot of people that are going to be adventuring alone, even a lot of people that are playing with their friends are going to want this perk, because you're not going to be playing with people 24/7. And if the level 2 and level 3 add up and it's going to be 20 and 30%, that's going to be very useful when you're not in a party. Again, I think that's why it costs 2 instead of 1 like the normal perks that we've seen. But for me personally, I'm going to be playing a lot of this game alone. I have some friends that are going to be getting this game, but I think trying to do some of the quests or even dig into the lore with the holotapes and notes and stuff, it's going to be harder to play with friends, because if I'm going to be in a group, I'm going to be worrying about running through a location, looking for all the loot, trying to grab it before my group does, and then trying to go through and get everything, all the lore stuff. But I don't think that's going to work out, and I don't think that's going to be fun for me. Next, we have Makeshift Warrior. It's another intelligence perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is your melee weapons break 30% more slowly and are cheaper to repair. Its level 2 is 60%, and its level 3 is 90%. I'm actually very excited about this perk too, because I love melee weapons. I think it's going to be very viable in this game. As I stated earlier, you're going to want a melee weapon somewhere in your arsenal, and having it never break and very cheap to repair is going to be very, very useful. And speaking of melee weapons, the next one is going to be Slugger. This is a strength perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is your two-handed melee weapons now do plus 10% damage. Now, I'm not going to go into this. I think melee weapons are going to be very useful for this game. So if you're planning on using melee, or even if you want to have melee in your arsenal at all, you're going to want this perk. All right, Picklock is next, and this one's going to be a perception perk, costs 1. It actually only has 1 level. This one is a little bit of a mistake, but level 1 is you gain +1 lockpicking skill. Sweet spot is 10% larger. Now, I don't know how you gain level 2 and level 3 then if there's only 1 here. This is very confusing to me. I don't know if this is a graphical bug or if there's actually other perks or stuff that give you another lockpicking skill. I guess we're just going to have to figure this out when the game comes out. Up next is Pharma Farma. This one's going to be a luck perk. This one it costs 1, and its level 1 is 40% chance to find extra first aid chems when searching a chem container. So I think luck is going to be filled with or not specifically luck, but I think a bunch of categories are going to contain perks like this, where you're going to find an extra % chance to find certain this or for certain that in certain containers. And These kind of perks, I think, are my favorite in Fallout series because I love searching containers and finding loot, and being able to find more and more, keep adding to my collection, just fills up the hoard urge that's inside me. Up next, we have Serendipity. This one's another luck perk, costs 1, and when you fall below 30% health, you gain a 50% chance to avoid damage. Now, I don't know how this works in an online game. I don't know how this works in a Fallout game. How do you avoid damage? I guess what I'm guessing is you just don't take any damage at all, but it'll be interesting to see how this level 2 and level 3 is going to work out for this perk. I don't know if it's going to give you just a higher % chance to avoid damage. Slow Metabolizer is an endurance perk. This one costs 1, and its level 1 is all food satisfies hunger by an additional 25%. This is just like Thirst Quencher. It's just another one to help you not worry about survival elements that much. Thirst Quencher is next. This one's an endurance perk, costs 1, and I realized that I used Thirst Quencher just now, and I was thinking of a different perk. My bad. All right, and the level 1 for this states that drinking any liquid has a 30% reduced chance to cause a disease. This one's just like Iron Stomach. If you don't want to have to worry about catching diseases in this game, which are going to be negative detriment to your character, you might want to pick up this perk. Scrounger is up next. This one's another luck perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is 40% chance to find extra ammo when you search an ammo container. Again, like I was saying, this one is another one of those search a container and you might find more. I love these perks. I think these are going to be very useful if you want to venture out and you want to build up. If you don't want to have to worry about your ammo so much, you want to get this perk so you could just kind of stockpile all your ammo. Thru-Hiker is up next. This one's an agility perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is food, drink, weight are negative 30%. Now, we know that this is going to be a survival game, and we know this is going to be online. There is no console commands to increase your carry weight. That was kind of one of the things that I would do in Fallout. I didn't like worrying about my carry weight too much. I thought it was too low. I liked hoarding myself. I didn't like walking all the way over to my settlement to drop off all my stuff because the load times are way too long. But in this game, you can't do any of that. So this perk might be useful if you don't want to have to travel to your camp every time to drop off stuff. All right, and our final one is going to be Traveling Pharmacy. This one's a strength perk, costs 1, and its level 1 is weights of all chems, including stim packs, are reduced by 30%. So this one is another one. If you don't want to have to worry about traveling back to your camp back and forth, you want to carry this perk so you can just end up carrying a lot more stuff. But there you have it, guys. This is about a third of all the perks that we've seen so far. I'm working on the rest of them. I got the next video coming up for you guys. So if you want to see the rest of the perks that we have coming in Fallout 76, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and comment some of the favorite ones that you've seen so far, the ones that you're more looking forward to. This has been Nick Guru. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great day.